Cargoes, welcome to today's flight. We're going to be taking the PMDG 737NGX for the first time on the stream. Brand new pilot to this aircraft. I am familiar with PMDG aircraft, but I've never had the 737 before, so it's going to be quite a fun flight to have today. Welcome aboard, guys. If you're new to the channel, appreciate you guys tuning in, and if you like the video, please give the video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for more content. We are parked on Stanstead in London with the UK2000 scenery. I'm going to be flying, as I said, to Zurich, which is provided by FSDreamteam. We are using live weather and we are using real time, so as you can see the clock says 1200 Zulu, which is 1 o'clock local time. And if we head outside today, we're parked on stand 21 at Stanstead. Pretty dull and dismal day there, but should provide a bit of interesting weather as we fly to Zurich, and we're using the registration today of Echo India Delta Papa Golf. This is the PMDG aircraft, I said, the 737NGX with the wingtips. Beautiful aircraft, and so we're parked on stand 21. We are on the VATSIM network today, which is the multiplayer network. So first things first, we planned the flight today using PFPX, which is the professional flight planner. So if we head in, and I'll show you the flight route today. Bring the PFPX across for you guys. So we are Ryanair 63 Victor, and there's the registration of the aircraft, and we're departing from Stanstead, runway 04. I will check that with the VATSIM network just to make sure that it's still the same, and if the winds don't change, we should be landing on runway 34. Our zero fuel weight today is 59.8, and our fuel, I'll probably round up to 5,000, but it's 4,844. And below you can see the flight route. Initially flight level 230, and we'll climb to flight level 390, and we have the relevant star, which is the SID, which is the standard instrument departure. So if we just move this across for you guys, and we'll head inside and start preparing the aircraft. First things first, I like to do the weights before I do anything, just in case I forget to do it. So the fuel, as I said, was 4,844, but I will round it up to 5,000. And payload, our zero fuel weight currently is 55.2, but we need to set it at 59.8. Okay, so if we head into the overhead panel today, I'll just put some background lights on just in case. So turn on the probe heats, turn the packs off, make sure the bleed is on, turn the electrics on. Fuel pumps can go on now. Seatbelts can be armed. Turn the sound on. Turn that down a little bit because that's quite loud. Okay. Turn the logo on and the anti-collision. Yep, don't need to turn the anti-collision light on just yet. So if we head on inside, we can set up the flight route. As I said, apologies if I'm doing anything wrong today. I'm not using any SOPs, and this is my first time flying the PMDG 737, so there might be things that are obviously done wrong, which obviously I'll learn from, and that's half the fun of learning a new aircraft. So today's flight route is Echo Golf Sierra Sierra Lima Sierra Zulu Hotel, which is Stansted to Zurich. If I bring across the VPILOT, you can see there the ATIS information. Information hotel is current. Looks like, just double check it. Runway in use, I think that should be 20, but sorry, 22, so we'll change that. in our flight plan. So we'll head to departure, runway 22, and it's the lid 6 Romeo. Great, that. So, enter our 0 fuel weight. Our reserves today are 1.1. Cost index is 6. And our cruise will be flight level 390 for the top cruise there. We'll use D rate 1, I think that was, on our flight plan. Oh, D rate 2, apologies. D rate 2 with 39 degrees SoCal. Alright. Takeoff. Enter our centre of gravity. We're going to be using a flap 5 takeoff today. And our V speed's slightly different. 144, 146, and 151 according to PFPX. The wind, as you can see, I've bring up the local conditions for you. Winds are 100 at 11. We'll just double check that against VPILOT. Surface winds 100 by 10, so yep, that's pretty accurate. As I said, we are using the live weather, so re-enter the 144, 46, and 151. Okay. So just double check through the flight plan, make sure there's no discontinuities. This is the start of, sorry, the end of the flight plan, but it's the start of the standard terminal arrival, so we'll enter that obviously when we get closer to the area. 6,000 is the transition altitude. Now I use a program called Aivlasoft EFB, which is Aivlasoft Electronic Flight Bag. See our current position, taxi into runway 22, so it's a fairly short taxi. We'll go down Bravo, Hotel, probably Romeo I'd guess, but we'll check that with Tower. Enter our departure in. We are departing on runway 22 under lid 6 Romeo. Activate that. You can see actually there's another aircraft parked at the stand. And so we are on the VATSIM network, so there is live air traffic control happening. Appreciate you guys tuning in and joining me on today's flight. Nice to have the company, and hope you enjoy the flight with me. So next we need to do is set up the MCP. So turn on both flight directors, turn on the auto throttle. I always set +10 on top of the V2 speed. Runway heading initially. What was the level for the 5,000? We'll set 5,000 there as our initial altitude until we get cleared higher. So we'll do airport, so I'm going to have the weather radar on this side, but obviously not going to turn the weather radar on just yet. And we'll put the terrain radar on the co-pilot side. So first things first, we'll tune in the frequency to Stanstead Tower, which is the only ATC on at the minute, which is 123.8. So it is a Friday afternoon, so there's not much air traffic control on, understandably, so we'll call in. We're on stand 21. We have information hotel. Stanstead Tower, very good afternoon. Ryanair 63 Victor's with you on stand 21. We have hotel on board. We are a 737-800, requesting our clearance to Zurich, please.
Ryanair 60 Victor, good afternoon, Stanstead Tower. You are cleared to Zurich via lid 6 Romeo, squawk 7413.
Clear to Zurich on the Lid 6 Romeo Squawking 7413. Ryanair 63 Victor.
Ryanair 63 Victor, your readback is correct. Call when ready for push and start.
We'll call for push, thank you, Ryanair 63 Victor. Okay, now, Lid 6 Romeo, as I said, was our standard instrument departure. We've already planned for that, so don't need to make any amendments to the FMC or the flight plan. And he said squawk 7413, so that's what we need to enter down here. What that means is he's allocated us a special code which will show all of our details on his radar screen, so we need to enter that in. We're not doing any boarding today with GSX. I will use GSX for the pushback, but
all stations, unfortunately, I have to close one lead and put 122.8. I apologise for this. Have a good one. Bye.
no worries, over to you. Have a good afternoon. Ryanair 6350. Right. So air traffic control is logged off. So we go to what's called a Unicom channel, which is 122.8. This is a text system, and it's used as an advisory. So when we push back and take off, etc., we just let people know. Now I do use Navigraph charts as well. Very good bit of software. If you don't, I'll quickly show you what it looks like before we do our pushback. Brilliant bit of software if you don't use it. So we'll bring it across the other screen for you. So this is what it looks like. You can enter your airport, download the charts for you. It is a paid subscription, but in my eyes, completely worth every single penny. And I have the latest AIRAC as well, which is the navigation details, and I have that updated monthly as well. So we'll go to the SID there, and I'll show you the Lid 6 Romeo. So if I zoom in, this is what it looks like. So we depart from Stanstead, Delta 30, between 3 and 5,000 feet, Delta 25 at 5,000, then we reach waypoint Nepna, and then Detling above 5,000, and then Lid 5,000. Now sometimes you do get cleared from air traffic control to climb higher than this, depends on the other air traffic control around. I said unfortunately the air traffic controller has gone offline and there's no London control, etc., so we'll clear ourselves, we'll declare ourselves straight up to our cruise level or flight level 390. So I said we're parked on the apron. We'll push back, head down Bravo, Hotel, and then Romeo, and we'll take off runway 22. So it's a pretty straightforward flight today. So parking brake is set, doors are all closed. We'll remove the ground connections. We'll retract the jetway. See him disappear. And as we are ready to go, we'll put our navigation lights on. Set our cruise altitude in the cabin pressurization. And we'll double check that the packs are off and APU bleed is on. So we need to today push back to the right, so we'll request this with GSX. Nose to the right. As you can see, the pushback truck arrives ready to push us with our nose facing to the right. Our clouds today are provided via Rex Skyforce HD with Active Sky Cloud Art, and that's injected into the sim using Active Sky for prepared version 4. It's live weather, so hopefully we'll get a little bit better weather en route. GSX Sky is locking the gear. I'm going to turn on the start a break to RTO and we'll start the timer because we're about to push back. Let's get his...
Tanker's in position, bypass pin is inserted. Apron's now clear, ready to push.
Right.
Now release parking brakes, please.
So we are cleared at quarter past the hour.
Commencing push. Engine's clear, start at your discretion.
We're just going to push back and we're going to be turning so our nose faces right. We are cleared to start engines, but I always like to do it as I get past level with the gates, because then we are away from the terminal building. So I'm going to start engine number 2 first. Now what you need to do is wait for the N2 to rise about 21, and this needs to be stable around 2. Once that's stable, I'll turn on the fuel pump. Yeah. So we're starting to stabilise. Let the fuel come in. I'll zoom down for you actually. See there the fuel flow starting to come in, and the N2 and N1 are rising. Beautiful aircraft. Okay, so we'll head into the inside view. You can see there on the bottom of my screen I have the live system which updates my heading, speed, call sign, etc. So our pushback is complete. So set the parking brake, and we can start engine number 1 now that's on and stabilised. Same thing again. Wait for the N2 and the N1 to stabilise. So we can turn on the fuel now.
Unlocking the gear.
See the EGT, which is the engine engine gas temperature coming in. That's rising nicely. The fuel flow's coming in, and the N1 and N2 are both rising nicely. So we've had a good engine start on both engines. We'll wait for that to click to off. There you go. So put the ignition switch to both. Turn on the engine generators. Turn off the APU. Packs go to auto. APU bleed off. And I believe that is everything apart from to set our taxi and runway turn off lights. So as you can see there on the live traffic, when I right click you can see aircraft close to our positions. We have an Air Canada, 2 British Airways, a few other small aircraft around, so gonna release the parking oh, first things first, actually need to do our takeoff trim, don't we? Nearly forgot that. So takeoff trim today is 5.27. So you can see there, just about to hit 5. There's 5. Oh, it's roughly around there. So our takeoff flaps, parking brake released, and off we go. Now what will happen, we'll take, as I said, we're on Bravo at the minute. Take Bravo all the way down to Hotel and then on to Romeo. Fairly short taxi today as we're using runway 22. Outside view there. We head along Bravo. See a few of the aircraft around that's provided by UK2000. Might turn this static aircraft off, but just adds a little bit of immersion, at least for when it's quiet on the VATSIM network. And I'll do the customary wing view for people. Our flight time today should be around 1 hour 20 minutes. Might be a little bit shorter than that, depends on the if there's any air traffic control or any holding that we have to do. So I'm going to turn on the weather radar now as we're away from the terminal building. Head down here onto Bravo Hotel. Turn right onto Hotel. See there, the weather radar's picking up rain and turbulence. Luckily, hopefully, we're going away from that area. So luckily we're not flying using runway 4. Okay, so we're on Hotel now. Going to be turning left here onto Romeo. Now that static noise is other aircraft just stating their intentions. For example, there's an aircraft saying an EasyJet aircraft saying he's established runway 8 right at Gatwick. Okay, so I'm going to turn on our landing lights and turn on the strobe light now as we're entering the runway. Now I always do a visual check. Even if there's air traffic control and they've cleared us to line up and wait, I always do the customary check. Okay, so we are now lined up. I am going to start the clock. We're going to clear ourselves for takeoff. This clock pointer is a bit fishy sometimes, right? Advanced throttles to around 45%. There we go. And toga. Did forget to arm L nav and V nav, but doesn't matter too much. We'll arm them when we're in the sky, so apologies for that. As I said, I'm new to this aircraft, so going to be mistakes going to be made. So we're past 80 knots. There's 100. Just waiting for the V1 speed, which is coming up very shortly. Oh, not doing very well with this rudder. So there's our V1 and rotate speed. V2, we are positive rate, so we can gear up. We'll now make our turn. Okay, while we're in the turn, we'll arm LNAV and VNAV. I'll activate the autopilot shortly. I'm just enjoying getting the feel of the aircraft here. I said this is my first flight ever in the 737, so as I said earlier, apologies if I do things wrong. Pretty nice to fly, I have to say. Hear there that it trims itself, so we're approaching flap 1 speed, so we're going to rotate the flaps. We can retract the flaps, we can turn off the auto brake there. And we'll switch autopilot on, and we'll altitude intervene the sit there as there's no air traffic control, so we don't have to worry about any other aircraft. So, I'm going to retract the flaps fully now. And we'll turn the gear position to off. See there, some beautiful clouds as we're approaching transition altitude. We cleared ourselves up, so I'm going to hit the standard pressure, which is 1013. Good outside shot for you guys as we pass through the cloud layer at 6,000. Right, I'm going to head back inside the cockpit for you guys, so you get a cockpit view as we're approaching the 10,000 feet mark. As you can see there, absolutely disgusting day in the UK as normal. Overcast, cloudy, disgusting. Now I always set the heading altitude to match. I'm going to turn the seatbelt sign off as the once we pass 10,000, as there's no turbulence at the moment. So I've retracted the lights. Let the passengers roam. We'll go past 10,000 now. Just zoom out slightly on both sides, make it a bit better. So as you can see there, our next waypoint is Nepna. If we head through to the, you can see Nepla, Detling, Lid, and then we'll cross northern France, Germany into Zurich. You see there, we got a fairly strong wind today. Hopefully it won't be too nasty against us. Nothing worse than a nasty headwind as you're flying, like normally is across the Atlantic. I said some beautiful clouds provided by Rex Skyforce HD along with the ASCA, which is Active Sky Cloud Art. Does a nice job. I chose to use the Active Sky weather engine. I think that, in my opinion, it's slightly better than the Rex weather engine. Now, it is my own personal opinion. I'm not, you know, sponsored or paid to say anything like that. It's just, I've tried both, and I think I get a more accurate weather data using the Active Sky. Now, as they do updates for Rex Skyforce, I might give that weather engine a try again, but I'm just happy to use the clouds from Rex Skyforce 3D and ASCA, and I'll just use the Active Sky Cloud Art and the Rex Skyforce 3D for the clouds for the time being, and I'll use the Active Sky weather engine. This may change in the future, but at the moment that's what I'm happy with. Now, I do use something else called PTA, Prepared Tweak Assist. What that does is that changes some of the lighting effects, both on the sky and the clouds. It also helps, as you can see there, we've got some shadows. You do get shadows anyway, but it helps enhance the shadows from the clouds on the ground there. If you guys have any questions or tips or suggestions, please leave a comment in the video down below. And if you are enjoying the video and like to see more content, please subscribe and hit the like button. Very well appreciated. I appreciate all views, comments, suggestions and feedback, whether good or bad. As I said, I'm not following any SOPs, I'm not flying for Ryanair Virtual or anything like that. I'm just doing a nice casual flight. And I said this is my first flight in these 737s, so I've been flying a lot in the FS Labs A320, so it's nice to have a change for a short haul aircraft. I do have the PMDG 737 and the PMDG 747 for my long hauls, and I do a mixture of mixed flights. Sometimes I'll do a cargo flight, sometimes I'll do a long haul passenger flight, depends what the mood takes me. But as I said just now, if you like to see any particular videos, let me know and I'll see if I can do them for you. I will try and stream and upload as often as I can. Unfortunately, real life events stop me from doing that as often as I like, but I'll try and keep the content as frequent for you guys as I can. I'll show you where we are on the electronic flight bag. I lock our position there. You see we're approaching the English channel there. We're heading towards Lid, and then we'll turn and we'll head into northern France. Now I am going to take a small shortcut as didn't mean to bring the HUD down, as there is no air traffic control on, so we're going to go direct to India November Golf November Bravo. I said there's no air traffic control on, and sometimes they give you shortcuts anyway, so I'm quite happy to just do the customary wing views for you guys. If you're wondering what the ground textures are, they're provided by, said the airport was UK2000 Stanstead, and the ground textures are FTX Global, FTX OpenLC, which is the land class, and then I use the FTX England sort of region, so it gives even more details. And I also have the FTX Vector, which provides more realistic roads, rivers, coastlines, etc. And at night time I also use FTX night lighting, and I have FTX trees. So as you can guess by that, I do like the FTX products by ORBX. I don't think I could fly default now. The difference it makes is astounding in my opinion. Now, I probably will change my PTA preset. I'm experimenting with a few at the moment. This one seems to be a little bit bright on the clouds. This was one of the ones from Rex Skyforce, called London Calling. Probably my favourite one so far has been Passenger View, but yeah, the brightness is a little bit too bright. But it's nice to try different ones, change your sim up, see how it works. I often get asked quite a lot actually from people, why do you only get 30 frames? For example, like, you know, most shooting games you get 100 and things like that. Mainly because of the detail of the sim. You've got to remember that you're using a really highly detailed aircraft. The clouds, the weather, the ground textures, the airports, etc. They're all obviously having an impact on your system. Now obviously if I go to an outside view, you can see there we get around 60 frames, sometimes 100 frames. And in the cockpit you get around 30-40. Now it does vary on aircraft. The 777 for me and the 747 handle the frames much better than the PMDG and the FS Labs. I mean, you go to Heathrow and no matter what aircraft you're in you get awful frames, but that's just Heathrow. My advice is don't focus on frames per second, focus on a smooth sim. Yes, it is nice if you can get 100 frames locked at all times, but it's getting the balance between graphics settings and gameplay and smoothness. Now for me, I'd rather have a smooth flight. Obviously I want insane graphics and my settings are very high. I probably could lower them, but at this point I'm very happy with the settings I currently have. Yeah, I focus more on smooth sim rather than frames per second. I don't focus on that, so as long as I'm happy and the flight's very smooth, that's all I need. I mean, I do have a fairly high spec system. I have a i7 6700K, which is overclocked to 4.6. I have my flight sim on a SSD drive, and I also have a the GTX 1070 graphics card. So I do have a fairly decent system. But I mean, it depends also on the airport and how well optimized it is. You can go to places like Dubai, San Francisco, etc. And for me, I get amazing frames there. You can go to Amsterdam, and I get very good frames, but Amsterdam's a fairly heavy city on impact on frames. But I still get very good frames there. But you go to Heathrow, and as I said, no matter what. I've even found if I lower my settings to really low, I still get rubbish frames at Heathrow because of the London settings really don't make much difference around London, unfortunately. But as I said in a previous video, you sort of come to terms with, once you do a lot of flying, you know what cities tend to affect the frames, and you sort of learn to deal with it. But as I said, as long as the sim's smooth, that's the important thing for me. So we're just past 30,000 feet. We are well on our way. We should be landing around about an hour and 10 minutes time. So we should be pretty much bang on target. When we are in the cruise and a bit closer, I'll check the weather and start to plan our arrival into Zurich. But sit back, enjoy the flight. Feel free to wander around the cockpit with me. So far I'm very, very impressed with the 737. Not surprised by the level of detail that PMDG offer. As I said, I do have their 74 and 73, the 747 and their 777. So I've sort of come to understand the level of detail that you get in the aircraft, but it's still always nice to see that even the slightly older 737 that they've done is still just as detailed. Now, if you're wondering what I'm using to move around the cockpit and external views, etc., I use a program called Chaseplane. They have a cinematic mode, so it will change shots and positions every like 10-20 seconds, whatever you set it to. That will do that automatically. You can also set up custom views, so I have shortcuts for wing view, behind view, etc. As well as cockpit presets, so there's my overhead panel, I've got my lighting, FMC, etc. So you can see there we've got a fairly heavy wind of 73 knots. Bit of a crosswind at the moment, but not too bad. If I bring up active sky and I'll show you. Currently at Zurich, it's a beautiful day, calm winds, 19 degrees, so stays like that. I will stick with runway 34. But in my eyes we're a little bit too far out to even start thinking about planning for the arrival stage. Now I will be planning ahead of schedule, a little bit earlier than I would do another aircraft, mainly because, as I said, this is my first flight with the 737, so things will take a little bit longer while I get used to what I need to set up. Now this aircraft does come with a heads-up guidance system. You don't have to use it, but it's nice to use on approach, I find. Gives you a bit more awareness. But yeah, I'll be setting everything up, as I said, most of the time, but at the minute, sit back, enjoy the flight. We're about an hour away from touchdown, so we should be bang on schedule, which for Ryanair is pretty rare. If you're enjoying the video and have any comments, please feel free to let me know in the comments section below and give the video a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. And as I said, I'll try and stream and upload videos as often as I can. Would love your guys' feedback and any suggestions you have. I am a new channel, so appreciate all you guys tuning in and watching this video. Especially when there are more established flight sim channels like Chewy94, Matt Davies, Bellins. There's loads out there like Black Box and Durka. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate your support. And we should be touching top cruise in a few miles, 20 miles. As you can see there, optimum is 387 and we're cruising at 390, so we're bang in the middle between the two there. And we should be landing with a decent amount of fuel. Our reserves are 1.1, so we shouldn't be anywhere near that. Also guys, let me know in the comments below what your favourite airports are. I generally only fly into airports I have the scenery for. Not sure about you guys, but I like to fly into the detailed airports, so flying into a default scenery airport for me personally takes the immersion out. But if there's a particular airport that you want me to fly in, I'll give it a go. You know, I'll try and find the scenery, and if not, I would fly into a default airport if you guys really wanted that flight. I am thinking of doing a long-haul flight fairly shortly. Not sure where yet. Need to have a think, see where we'd like to fly. Might do a flight and log it on Project Fly. I haven't done a lot on Project Fly yet, but I'm just starting to get into that now. It's an amazing system by Bellins and his partners. I'm not sure who else created that with him, but as you heard there, we had the bell for 1,000 feet to top of cruise. What I'll do for you guys, I'll probably do a P3D settings video for you guys. Let you know what my system currently is set at. As I said, one thing to bear in mind, as I said earlier, is don't focus on frames. Obviously you want high frames, but as I said, you want smoothness, so bear in mind that even if you have identical software to me, and even if you use my P3D config file, each system is unique. So just bear that in mind. I'm more than happy for you guys to have my P3D config. If you'd like that, let me know, and I would upload that to somewhere like Google Docs or somewhere like that where you're able to download it. Google Drive. But yeah, bear in mind that even if you have exactly the same setup as me, the miles do vary. Sometimes you can get worse frames, sometimes you can get better. I suppose it depends on the lottery how well you've got in terms of graphics card silicone on it, and the processor lottery sometimes is quite unique. So there we've got 133 miles until our top of descent. I always keep an eye on the weather, updating it, but should be fine for the runway 34, so I'm going to set that up now. We're going to be doing the Loom 2 Golf arrival, so ILS runway 34, Loom 2 Golf. Let me check our waypoints, see if there's any transitions that we need to use. Gimbal 34. That should be fine without any discontinuities, yep. So I'm just going to slow us down there, and I'll slow us down there, just so it gives us a chance to get things set up. So that's, as you now can see, it's added a few extra miles on, as we've now got the STAR, which is the standard terminal arrival route. As you can see there, ILS frequency and course. So what I tend to do is, before I forget, we need to set the course in, which was 333. Set that on both sides. 333, and as you saw there, the ILS frequency is 11075. So put that into your 110. Got my memory. Yep. Must be getting old. 11075. again, put that in both sides. 11075. And this here is for the ILS landing system. So 12139 is the runway length. So 12139. 12139. So that's entered the runway length. And I'll bring this across to show you. We head to Zurich. Download the charts. So we're coming into runway ILS runway 34. Zoom in a little bit for you. So you can see there that the runway elevation and airport elevation is 1388. So I'll set that in here as well. 1388. So closest is 1400. And 1388 is the elevation. So that's now the elevation and runway length both set up there. And it's armed, so we're pretty much ready to go for when we're close to the ILS. Let me know, guys, what your favourite aircraft is to fly. Be interesting to see whether you prefer long haul or short haul. I never do time acceleration. That's one thing I've never done, even when I'm flying offline. For me, flying a detailed aircraft and then speeding up the simulation for me is not my idea of flight sim, but as I said, everyone's different, so did a beautiful flight the other week from Frankfurt to Gatwick using the Lufthansa Cargo 777, and I tell you, the view you got there on the sunset was probably one of my best sunsets I've seen in the sim. The weather was just incredible. The sunset, the lighting effects. Probably go back to that PTA preset if I'm honest, because that's probably one of the best PTA ones I've used. So I'll bring the arrival chart over for you, and so you guys can see what's happening on the arrival. So Bloom 2 Golf, so flight level 200 or below, so I'll check Bloom, flight level 200 or below. And you have a altitude restriction. You need to be above flight level 120 at Zulu Hotel 677 and above 7,000 at Schiphol. So we'll check that in the fix. Above 12,000 and above 7,000 at Schiphol. So both of those are correct. If we need to hold at Schiphol, it is a right-hand circuit. It's important to check these, because if you're needing to hold, say an air traffic controller has told you that you need to hold it, for example Schiphol, and you do a left-hand circuit instead of a right-hand circuit, it can cause absolute chaos. I had it once coming into Heathrow, and we had to hold at Biggin. Somebody went the wrong way around. they didn't stick to the altitude either, so they were really causing chaos. You can see there some altitude restrictions because of terrain. Yep, pretty straightforward approaching. Should be a nice approach into Zurich, especially with the beautiful weather that we've got. You can see there hardly any clouds around. Nice wing views for you guys. If you guys have any ideas for my long haul flight that I want to do, let me know. Might do a cargo run from maybe Dubai to Hong Kong or somewhere like that, or Hong Kong to Sydney, something like that. Let me know what you guys want and which aircraft, like 777 or the 74. I am praying that Quality Wings brings out the 787 for P3D. Would really love a 787 in the sim. Don't own FSX, so not been able to have a chance to have a play with it, but from the videos I've seen, does look a really nice aircraft to fly. So what we'll do shortly is I'll check which auto brake we need to use, check the minimums, and set our initial flight level for our descent. Now, as there is no air traffic control on currently, I'll probably just set the final altitude for the platform of the ILS, which actually we'll check that. The platform today is, I think, 3,000? 6,000 is the platform, so we'll make sure that we're setting that in our 6,000. We got that already set, so that's good. As I said, I'll set 6,000 in the MCP. I would normally put the first altitude restriction in, but as there's no air traffic control on, I'll just vector myself straight down. Now, one thing I'll probably do is I'll start the descent about between 10 and 5 miles earlier, just so it's nice steady descent. I'll just make some amendments there just to give us a nice slowdown. We've got about 80 miles until we hit the top of descent. Beautiful day. Show you a bit of these cinematic views for you. This is Chase Plane's cinematic mode. What it will do is it will change the view a couple of times. As you saw there, exchange views. That's doing it without me touching any buttons. You can manually set it to cinematic mode, or if you're away from your computer for a little while, it will automatically change if you haven't pressed a button. But you can turn the cinematic mode off. I like it because it just adds variety. It's nice to see different views. If you guys are new to flight simming and thinking of getting P3D, I'd highly recommend it. Absolutely amazing, especially version 4, or well 4.2 as it currently is now. It's a 64-bit platform. Now what that means is Flight Sim X, FSX and P3D version 3 were all 32-bit, which means even if you have 64 gig of RAM in your computer, the sim is only able to use a maximum of 4 gigabytes. So what that means is, once it reaches 4 gigabytes, the sim will crash and close down. Now you've got to bear in mind that aircraft take up a lot of memory, weather programs and scenery taking a lot of memory, airports taking memory. And what can happen is you'll fly, and as you get towards your destination, the sim will crash because it's gone over the 4 gigabyte limit. Now, being a 64-bit technology, there is no limit. It's down to your RAM. So I've got 16 gig of RAM in my computer, which means I can essentially go up to 16 gig of graphics in the sim before it will crash. So what that currently means is, at the moment, I haven't had a crash of the sim since I've moved across to version 4. Now obviously you've got to bear in mind that other things will use some memory, like Internet Explorer, Firefox, etc. Aivlasoft EFB, weather programs. Each of those will use a small segment of memory, so you won't get your full 16 gig for Flight Sim. Be prepared, but you'll get a massive chunk still, so you shouldn't get the out of memory message. So you don't have to worry too much about doing a long haul flight and then getting there and it crashing, or you having to save and then load back in. So for me that was a big plus. One thing I also noticed was for me personally, was an increase in smoothness and frame rate. And obviously getting a bonus of a smooth flight with high frames and gorgeous graphics. I mean, you look at those ground textures, absolutely beautiful. And obviously one nice thing is with the 64-bit sim is, when you do your external views, you're not going to worry about like changing view. Oh my god, is it going to spike to 4 gig and crash? So you don't have to worry about VAS, which is the virtual address space. If you are still on FSX or prepared version 3, there are tips that's out there that you can help maximize your sim, but yeah, you shouldn't have to worry on version 4, so it's one less thing to worry about. You can just concentrate on flying and monitoring the flight and enjoying it. You don't have that stress of, oh my god, is it going to crash when you get to Toronto, for example, after a long haul flight. Now, even though it's a long runway, I will be using auto brake 2. Now that's mainly because this will be my first landing, so I could be landing later than I actually wanted to. So it just gives me that little bit of buffer where I don't have to worry like I'm going to run out of room. So we are getting close to, as you can see, 35 nautical miles to the top of descent. If there's other games you'd like me to play as well, let me know. I'll happily do that. Will primarily be a flight sim channel, but I will play other games. If I have them and you want to see them, then it's not a problem at all, just let me know. So we'll check the minimums for the ILS. So we'll do it's a bit different on this one, okay. So let me just zoom in, double check. Okay, 1624. We'll set 1624 and see what that does. That was Barrow, wasn't it? Yeah, 1624. I wish there was a way you could just type it in and then click a button and it will, instead of having to spin, but again, that's the realism of the plane. It's not like that in real life, so they won't put it in. We're nearly there though. What are we there? 1629, okay. There you go, 1624. So that's minimum set. Auto brake, already explained. We've briefed for the approach. Our landing speed is set, so 137 plus 5. So it's going to be 142. There's nobody else around. No air traffic control on, so we don't have to worry about that at all. So as you can see that we've just reached the top of the descent. So we'll tell the passengers to sit back down. Need to keep an eye on the altitude because once you reach 10,000 or around there, you need to put the engine mode into continuous. Now I don't know if Ryanair also turn on their what's it called? Don't know if they turn on their APUs as well, but I'm not going to do that. As I said, I'm not following any SOPs, so this flight is just all about having a nice time, enjoying the scenery, and getting to grips with this new aircraft for me. Excuse me. There's currently not much to do at the moment, just monitor the flight, make sure your instruments heading okay. So pretty much relax for the time being. So there's not much to do while the autopilot is doing the work for you. Everything's set up, the ILS frequency, course, airport elevation and runway length all set. The Land 3 is armed. ILS is set in both the navs. The course has been set on both sides, captain and co-pilot. As I said, the minimums have been entered as well. As there's no weather on this side to worry about, I'm going to be putting the terrain onto this side. Just gives me a bit more awareness on what's happening. As I said, there's no real weather to worry about, so it's pointless having the weather radar on this side. I'll put that on the co-pilot's side, and then got it for both then. You can see there, this green means that there's some terrain, but the maximum height of that terrain is 4,600 feet. So, not an issue for us, but still nice to be aware of what's around you. We're at Point Nergu, so we have started. As you can see, we've started our approach. I'll put the arrival in now on Aivlasoft, even though it's not too important, but Bloom to Golf. Activate. And we're doing the arrival of the ILS runway 34 at Gipple. There we go. You can see there all the information. Head down, loop around. Look at these ground textures, absolutely beautiful view. Sun's shining, what more could you want? If you guys are still around, thank you very much for tuning in. Hope you've enjoyed this flight so far aboard Ryanair from Stanstead to Zurich. Had an overcast day like normal at London. Going into beautiful sunshine. Into Zurich with some beautiful scenery. Look at that. Stunning. See the little river and lake down there. See this terrain that's also being shown on our display. Up the heading. As I said, I just do this out of habit. If your autopilot fails, it's a lot easier to get back than having to scroll all the way through while you're trying to hand fly it as well. Plus also gets you in good habit when you do fly online. For example, if there was traffic and that was being vectored in, Zurich could tell me to fly heading 300. Now if I'm on heading, 200, it will take me a lot longer than if I'm currently on the correct heading. I'm ready to go straight away, so. Once we get to 10,000, I'll switch all of the lights on. The engines will get put to continuous. I think that's done on the 737 for help towards if you get a bird strike and things like that, or an engine failure. It helps to keep the engines ignited. As I said, for the next flight I'll probably change the PTA preset because clouds are very, very bright on this one. Yeah, a little bit too unrealistic for my opinion, but as you can see there, the shadows on the ground from the clouds provided by PTA. With this preset, even the cloud shadows aren't as good. They're a bit purpley blue. So yeah, definitely going to change the PTA. Go back to my old one. I think that's definitely the better one I've had. That one's called Passenger View, and that's the one from Rex Skyforce 3D. That one, or my first PTA, has probably been my favourite presets. As I said, it's nice to experiment, nice to change things around, see what it does to your sim. Sometimes it can help, sometimes it doesn't look as good, but you don't know until you try it, so just remember to back up your shaders first, because if you need to go back to the original without PTA and you don't back them up, you're going to run into all sorts of issues. So my advice is, if you change anything in P3D or FSX, is always back up first before you decide to make the change, and you can always go back if needed. I will give a bit of advice that I learned actually from another YouTuber. Was if you are using PT and you come across errors regarding your shaders, uninstall the P3D client and reinstall it, or just install, run the client installer again, and hit repair. So if you delete your shaders HSL from your root directory and then reinstall the client and do the repair function, what that will do is that will put your shaders back to original. So just delete shaders HSL folder and then press repair on the when you do the install client, and it will put it back to default for you. So as you can see, there's Zurich Airport just below us. Drag's required, so I'm just going to add a bit of speed brake just to help the aircraft slow down, because sometimes this aircraft, people said it's quite slippery, so sometimes she's pretty fast. Ah, that wasn't Zurich, that's another airport, my apologies, I thought that was Zurich then. But if I change into plan mode and bring up the as you can see there, we do a nice arrival into runway 34. We don't need to worry about any waypoint discontinuities. You can see we just have a nice, there's no sharp turns, we don't have to do any vectoring. I mean, you can even just do shortcut now straight away. When was it that we need to go to? 3109. Okay. We go to 310. And if we put that one, we'll route director there. Go back to plan mode. What that's doing is just saving us going to the left and then to the right. We'll just take a direct path there. As I said, there's no aircraft around, no air traffic control on, so it's not going to be an issue at all. So appreciate all you guys tuning in and watching this video. Appreciate the support as a new channel. It's great to have you guys watching my videos and live streams. Give the video a thumbs up if you're liking the content, and hit the subscribe button for more content in the future. I'll try and stream and upload as often as I can, and I'll try and keep the content as varied as I can. So not all my flights will be on VATSIM. The next one might be in the FS Labs, could be a cargo run, it could be a long haul. See where the mood takes us, see which airports we've not been to for a while. Might do my next flight on Project Fly. As I said, I haven't used Project Fly very much, so it would be nice to... I've only logged a few flights with them, so it might be a nice change to do. If you guys haven't seen or heard of Project Fly, check them out. It's a great, I suppose, logbook is the word that I want to use. It's a great logbook to keeps track of all your flights, your aircraft. You can have all of your flights that you've done, including the hours for each plane that you've used, because you can add various planes on, so you can actually keep a whole track of everything. So I'm going to do a bit of speed intervene now, make sure we slow down in time. And I'm going to clear us right down to the altitude, so I'll put the Q&H in now. Don't need to worry too much, as I said, because there's no one around. Move that onto the other screen now, so we don't really need that anymore. So we're just approaching 10,000. I know it's not exact. I'll put the lights on now anyway, and then put the speed brake out. Helps increase the angle of attack to bring the plane down further. Do some wing shots for you guys. I know you like that sort of thing. Go do an engine view quickly before we head back inside. Nice clear, beautiful sunny day. Right. Let's keep our head inside the cockpit, as that is the important thing we need to watch out. So you can see there was slightly above profile, but only by 300 feet. We're starting to get onto the correct VNAV profile. So there's some beautiful views. Unfortunately, clouds are very, very bright, so as I said, I'm going to change the PTA preset. This one's not realistic at all in my opinion. Somebody said to try it out. I thought I would, but yeah, not for me. It's too unrealistic. So there's some beautiful lakes and rivers. Look at that. Beautiful. Still a nice view to come into, no matter what your PTA preset. Now the airport, as you'll see by the by the PFD, might not be able to see it. No, we can't see it. Oh, there he is. I think that might be it over there, but let's keep an eye on where we're going anyway. So I'm going to set 5,000. That's our last waypoint, I suppose, really, before we a beautiful view. It's 16 degrees at 9,000 feet, so it'll be nice and warm when we land at least. Much nicer weather than Stanstead. Okay, I'm going to slow us down now to flap retraction speed. Send out the first stage of flap. See there the leading edge flap are in transit. And as you can see there, the ILS is tuned in ready. Course 333 was 16 miles away. So I am going to go to stage 2. As I said, I will be setting up a lot earlier than I normally would, but this is my first flight, so I want to take things a little bit, want to have a little bit more reaction time, so if I plan things a little bit ahead of time, makes it easier. So our lights are all on, we're continuous, our landing altitude is set, our FMC and ILS system is all ready to go. Right. Let's go flap 5. So our final approach speed today is going to be 142. So it's 137 plus 5. So we're going to be turning slightly, so I'm going to put the VOR on. Yeah, 5,000 is really the final altitude. So the localizer is active, glide slope is active. I'm going to arm both as they've both been intercepted. Both autopilot channels are on. Sorry, commands are on. Going to extend the landing gear. I said I know everything's early, but go to approach. Bring down the HUD. Let's go 160 knots. Go flaps 15. Double check everything's still okay. Both CMDs are on. Gear is down, green. Speed breaker's armed. Auto brake set. Now, as we are, we're 10 miles out now, so that's good. Got to go down to final approach speed now. You can hear there the aircraft trimming itself. So, all flaps set, landing gear down, speed brake armed, auto brake set. Engines continuous, lights on. Both CMDs set, and looks like we are set to go. Now I'm intrigued. I might do an ILS to see how she handles on a full auto land. See what happens. Be interesting. I've not done the tutorial flight for this plane, so be interesting to see if it flares on its own, if I need to do the flare manually, even on a full auto land, or let's see how it works anyway. Excuse me. So you can see there we've got land 3 initiated, auto land 3, see our ground speed, everything's set. We are ready to go. Now in a minute you should see land 3's on the PFD as well now, and you should see in a minute 2 lines appear to show where the runway is. I said this is my first flight, so it'll be interesting to see. Well, 1,000. I'll take it manually, I think.
Don't sink.
Never know why it keeps saying don't sink when you're on perfect.
Don't sink.
Gonna have to look into that. I think maybe contact PMDG about that. Whether I'm on auto land or not, it always says don't sink, even when I'm not coming in too steep or.
Approaching minimum.
Approaching minimums. So
Glide slow. Minimum. Glide slow.
continue.
Glide slow.
We should do a go around, but I'm not worried, as I'm going to be landing
Glide
anyway.
slow. 50.
Don't sink.
30. 20. 10.
Okay, we are down. We're idle reverse. Approaching 60 knots, so I'll stow the reverses. Manual braking. And we'll aim to come off at the next one, which is on Echo 3. So we'll turn the auto brake off. We'll retract the flaps. And we'll come off here at Echo 3. And once we're off, we'll clean up the aircraft. Taxi her to the gate. Right, so we're clear of the active, landing lights can come off. Engines back to off. Strobe can come off. Taxi light. They're off, right. Now I'm not going to be parking on the proper stand for Ryanair, as this is only a test flight really. Which taxiway do we need? So we're on Echo. Keep on Echo and we'll turn on to Delta. As I said, I'm not going to be parking on the correct stand, I'm just going to be parking anywhere. I'm going to start the APU now. So welcome to Zurich. As I said, this is scenery is provided by FSDreamteam. It's a fairly old airport scenery now, to be honest. But I know they're working hard on the Chicago, the new Chicago airport, Chicago O'Hare. They're doing a completely redoing the whole airport. They're not just doing an upgrade to the one they've got. They're completely remodeling it with some amazing new features. So definitely going to be getting that when it comes out. So we're going to be taking Delta and then right onto Foxtrot. So that can go to XPDR. I think come off there. Right, come off. Weather that side, if I remember rightly. Right. So it's left here, and then the first right. So that will put us on to the we'll park on the Echo stand. So it says we're not parking on the correct stands. Doesn't really matter for this flight. We're going to be parking up here. Our APU is on ready. That's been started and ready to go. Now we're approaching the apron. Lights, taxi lights can come off. And we'll park here on one of the Echo stands. Let's park on Echo 65. Do. We'll park on this. Park on Echo 65. But no, we'll move along a little bit. Let's get a nice terminal view. Park here on Echo 57. Doesn't look like this gate has safe dock. Might be wrong, but didn't mean to do that. Let's bring up PSX. Right, we are parked. So, okay, let's put the APU generators on, and then we can switch off the fuel controls. Engine shutdown. We'll connect the jetway. They work on this one. I can't remember. No, they don't. Cool. Anti-collision light can now come off. Seatbelts can come off. So, open the doors. Let them all out. Okay, and then we'll unload the plane. Well guys, welcome to Zurich, Switzerland. Hope you enjoyed that flight. As always, thank you very much for tuning in. Hope you guys like the flight and enjoying the content. Let me know by giving me a thumbs up and a subscribe. And please leave any feedback in the comments. This was my first flight with the PMDG 737, so there's going to be a lot of mistakes. Looking forward to learning this aircraft properly, and as I said, this wasn't flown with any SOPs, standard operating procedures. Just a nice casual flight from Stanstead to Zurich for the fun. Appreciate you guys tuning in and joining me on today's flight. Ryanair 63 Victor. So your seatbelt signs are turned off and you are free to leave. Thank you very much. And join me. I'm going to probably do an episode called Come Fly With Me. Yeah, that'll leave the stream there, I think, guys. So thank you very much. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and I'll see you guys shortly. Take it easy. Bye-bye.